Okay, so today what we will study here. This is after midterm. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So today we're going to start chapter number 7, which is operational systems. So far we discussed different components of information systems, like we talk about the introduction, we talk about the organizations, we talk about the software, hardware, we talk about the data, we talk about the networks, operating system, and today how we can use or we can integrate all these components in one form. So we will see some operational systems, how the different information systems works in the environment. Is that clear, guys?
Clear.
ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, is a set of collection of integrated programs that manage the company's vital business operations for an entire multi-site global organization. Different programs all together making a one system that usually perform vital business operations for entire multi-site or global organization. So you have one organization at global organization, or maybe you have a multi-site different offices, but your information system will be one, and that one system can have is consist of different integrated modules or programs. Are you with me, guys?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. So can you give me an example? After reading this point, it allowed companies to plan out how much raw material they would need at a certain time in future, plan their production, control their inventory, and manage their purchasing process. The extra, the people are sitting. You can do the online shopping from uh, extra. So how many types of products are there? How many categories of the product? So there are hundreds and thousands of the product, right? People are buying on daily basis. So you need to keep the record of that. Okay, how many employees are working there? So your products are, you are selling the products and you are also purchasing a new product from. I'm talking about the company point of view. Extra has products, and it will the products will will be sell on daily basis by the customers. Can you hear my voice, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, it's clear.
Clear.
Okay. So can you explain the business of extra, any student?
Uh, it's a shop, doctor. You buy electronic things from them.
Yes, you are buying electronic things, customer are buying. Okay.
Yeah.
So what the management is doing?
Maybe you show what the product is finish to produce new thing or produce same things.
Yes, they can introduce new things, but how they come to know that they should introduce the new thing or not?
The order, they take the order what the product, how many products, and how what people purchase
From
this
from where the data will come?
system.
In the system. Yes, you need a system to store the data. Yes. And you have the data, then you can see the data and analyze. Right? So this is one thing, introducing a new product. So there are many things. You also need to purchase the new products as well, because the your storage, your warehouse, you need to update your products, right?
Right, doctor.
So there is also something related with the insurance in extra. Am I right?
I don't know, doctor. I don't come to Excel.
I mean, they have this system. If you purchase a product from extra, I don't know what they call it, the insurance kind of things. You can purchase that, right?
Yeah, for 1 year.
Yeah, for 1 year, 2 year, whatever. So they need to maintain the data, right? Because there are thousands of customers. Another section is, if you notice, the customer service.
What about it, doctor?
You know, the customer service, if you have some problem in your product, so you can return. There's a one section from where you can, you can talk with them. They can guide you. You know, customer relationship center kind of thing.
Yes, yes, doctor.
Okay.
Maybe almost company.
Yes. So they need to maintain data, right?
Yes, of course. How they know if I buy from this?
How many employees are working in extra in one office? I mean, in one branch. We have one branch in Raqqa. How many employees are there? What you guess?
I don't know. Maybe
Less than 100.
no.
Okay. And they are
So,
getting
the
salary?
system is, can show what the product. Maybe you can one employee show the system. Why 1,000 employee to show?
Okay, whatever. Let's say 100 employees. So the 100 employees will get the salary, right?
Yes.
There are different type of employees. Some are daily wages, some are weekly, some are permanent, some are on contract. They have different salaries, some having bonuses, they have different allowances. So where they will maintain this data?
Human resources.
In a system. The human resource section, one section, the human resource, you're right, human resource. But the salary will be in account department.
Yeah.
It's a separate department. Okay. Now you can understand there are different departments in within a one organization. So we're talking about just one branch. So now let's say Extra has 500 branches in Saudi Arabia. Every city has many Extras branches. So how they will manage the data? It is a big task, right?
Yes, of course. So.
I want to see how many products have been sold yesterday in, let's say, in Jeddah. I also want to see how many products have been sold in Tabuk. So it's very difficult to manage, but the organization is one. So you need some kind of system that you can manage all this information. There's a different type of information, right? We have accounts, we have employees, we have salaries, we have customers, we have products, we have so many things. And you need a complete system for individual department. For salary, you need a system. For human resource, you need a system. For security, you need a system. For IT, you need a system. I mean, the computers and all things that you need. And you need one overall system that can include all these subsystems. And that is called ERP. Now you understand?
Yes.
So if you do not, if you don't want to use this system, so you have to pay more, because in manual system, you know, there are a lot of different kind of cost. You need more people to work, you need more stationery, you need more papers, you need more human resource, time and effort is required. So using ERP, this will obviously eliminate the cost from many things, because everything would be online, the processing and the authorization of the documents, it will be very fast, and it will save the time. So when you are able to save the time, so it means you can save the money as well. Are you getting my point, guys?
Yes, Doctor.
Another advantage is improvement of work processes based on best practices. ERP vendors do considerable research to define the best business processes. So it is already understood nowadays, many software companies like Microsoft or the other big giants, they develop the software based on some feedback, on some research. So these ERP kind of softwares, they are well tested. So there is a chance that your work will improve. Do you agree with this?
Yes.
You have a company and you want to create a software for your company, information system. So you will contact Microsoft or any other big company. So every company has their own information system, so you can customize according to your need. So those systems are reliable. They're all already tested, right?
Doctor,
Yeah.
Yes.
can I ask you about something not related to
Maybe after the lecture you can ask me.
no, it's about, but I want to ask about the university.
Okay.
The system about is creating from employee or from Microsoft or other company.
Yes. So we have one department here, ICT, and they have one development sections where many developers are working. The programmers are working on it. So they are managing especially the website of the university. So there are many employees are working on that. They are creating sub processes there. But at the same time, the many big, softwares in networks, in grid computing, or maybe some tools. So they are from the outside, from the different companies. So they are managing in both ways.
Okay, they don't need application or software from outside, from
No, they need.
company.
For example, the PeopleSoft, the Blackboard, they are not. They are making in university. You have purchased these things from outside,
Okay,
right?
nice. Thank you, Doctor.
Improvement of work processes, yes, with these softwares, the things will be improved. Upgrade of technology infrastructure. When implementing an ERP system, an organization has an opportunity to upgrade the information technology hardware operating system. So when you want to use ERP in your organization, so you need to upgrade the infrastructure. Now, what is the infrastructures? Like what is how you are going to store your data, which operating system you are going to use, what kind of hardwares are required, how many offices are required, how many bosses are required. So everything you will improve Why? Because you want to use the ERP. So this is one of the advantage of ERP whenever the organizations are looking for that. So they usually improve their structure itself. Okay, so next we have some disadvantages as well, like expense and time in implementation. So it always takes time and money you are going to spend on it. Why? Because you need it is for the whole organization, for the big organization. So there are a lot of functions there. You need to gather a lot of requirements. So it will take time. And of course, it will take money as well. So difficulty implementing change, yes. Sometimes the best practices simply are not appropriate for the firm and can cause great disruption. Although the softwares are tested, but every organization has its own requirement is different than other. For example, extra is different than car 4, and both are different than, for example, let's say the car industry, and all of them are different from the academics, the universities. Okay, so when you're using the built-in or already tested ERP, the functionality wise it is okay, but you need to change maybe a lot of things. So when it comes to changes, so things becomes a little bit difficult to implement. Difficulty integrated with other systems. Yes, as we know, the ERP is a collection of systems. So they must integrate with other systems. For example, the registration department must work with, let's say, the quality department. So their system must integrate with each other. So this is always difficult because some systems may be built in different languages, maybe they have a different format. Sometimes you have two files and you cannot combine them. You cannot open in some softwares because they have a different format. So same concept apply here. So you have a big system, you have many systems inside, you want to add some new system in your big system. So maybe you will face some trouble because of data types, because of anything, maybe the different vendors. Like one part of a car, let's say a Chevrolet spare parts, you cannot use for Toyota. Okay? You're getting my point? Guys, are you with me?
Yes, Doctor.
Doctor, can you repeat the last one?
I'm saying you have one Mercedes car and you have one Toyota car. So the spare parts you cannot use from one car to another car. Right? Because both are different companies, different models. Are you getting my point?
Yeah, Doctor.
Yes, you want to say something?
Listen, vendor, doctor. Use one vendor or
No, it's
integrate.
difficulty integrating with other systems.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Like the software from Microsoft, sometimes you cannot use in Apple. Okay. So, or even with the same company. So you have one big ERP, you want to add new programs in your ERP, maybe you will face problem. Okay?
Okay.
Risk in using one vendor. Yes. The high cost to switch to another vendor's ERP system makes it extremely unlikely that a firm will do so. So you are making one ERP system, let's say from using any software from Microsoft. But after 2 years, you want to change. You want to change the Microsoft. You want to move to the Sunsoft. So it will be very costly. right? Why it is costly? Why it is costly?
Doctor, can you what mean vendor?
Vendor mean the manufacturer who create the softwares like Microsoft.
Because that is going
Okay.
to require a lot of resources.
Yes, because ERP is for whole organization, and you have already spent a lot of money in collecting the requirements and making this software ready, and now you want to change the company. So new ERP will you have to do it again from the scratch. Maybe you need to do a lot of things. So it will cost you a lot. So risk of implementation failure. Yes, implementing an ERP system for a large organization is extremely challenging and requires tremendous amount of resources. So whenever you are implementing these things, so risk is always there. What is risk? Risk is future problem. You are trying to implement the ERP in your organization, but what if it doesn't give you any benefit after implementing, especially in the large organization? Because it's a big system. Transaction system is involved, your management systems are there, computer related stuff are there, hardware, softwares, human resource, a huge effort is required. So there is a risk of failure. There's always a risk of failure. So you need a great effort to implement the ERP in your organization. Is that clear, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So next example is another system. So far we discussed the ERP, the big system, and that includes everything. And now we are moving towards another one system, subsystem that is called TPS, Transaction Processing System. Process detailed data necessary to update records about fundamental business operations include order entry, inventory control, payroll, accounts payable, accounts receivable, general ledger. So there it's talking about the accounts, like a banking system, like ATM, you are performing transactions on ATM, online banking. Or if we talk about the extra or any market, so they have these kind of things. You need to control, you need a system that where you can enter the order entry, inventory control, the payroll, how many employees are working, what are their salaries, how many money you are receiving, how many money you are withdrawing. So journal ledger, these are the documents in accounts department, journal ledger. So the system which can manage these things is called transaction processing system. So you're familiar with this system, right? In the end, when you do the shopping, you will get the receipt in the end.
Yeah.
And receipt is coming from a system. They are saving your records. They are saving the record of the products, the employees, the money comes and out. Okay? So you can take the example of banking, the online banking, the ATM, you are doing all the functionalities on an ATM. So these are all transaction processing systems. This is one system, right? Okay, we have some traditional transaction processing methods and objectives, like batch processing. What is batch? Anybody know?
No, doctor.
Batch, like a group. Like you people, what is your group? Group 1, 2, 3, L6, M1, let's say. Okay, F1, M2. Okay, so when will you be graduated?
After 4 years,
After 4 years, and all of you will graduate together, almost.
maybe
Almost.
almost.
Yes. So there will be one batch number for you. This is batch one. Let's say batch 2024. Okay. So you are a batch. You are one batch. So computerized processing in which business transactions are accumulated over a period of time. Now here it's talking about batch. Batch means after a few days it will run automatically. Okay, and do certain tasks. For example, some softwares, they check in networking, the computers are connected with the network or not. So after maybe 3 hours, the system will check automatically. Then after 1 day, system will check. After 2 days, system will check. And all the data will be maintained. All the reports will be maintained. So this is called batch processing. Now you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So now can you tell me about in terms of data? For example, salary. Every month employee will get salary, right?
Right.
We can make some system, the batch process that automatically after 1 month the amount will be transferred to the account of employees, like we are getting salaries, and this data will be maintained by the system. Now you understand?
Yes, doctor. Clear.
So online transaction processing, we discussed this, I guess, in a couple of lectures before. Everything gonna be online. Your processing, transaction processing. You have other, like you do the online shopping, your receipts, your data management. Everything is online. So it is computerized processing in which each transaction is processed immediately, like a PayPal. You pay PayPal immediately. Okay, it is a technology OLTP actually. So most organizations are using these kind of things. Okay, we can see this figure. The figure number one is about the batch processing. You can see data is coming from 3 computers, and they are collecting on a one file. This is actually the traditional way if they are using these files. So data from transactions is grouped into batch periodically, possibly once a day. Okay, on daily basis the products are sold, and the things are automatically saved there, and all input processed together as a batch. So once they will collect the data and all information will be transferred to save in a storage area, like maybe after 1 days, after 2 days, after 1 week, after 1 month, in batch. Okay, and the figure B is about the online stuff. Now you can see online processing is directly, it's done immediately. Now you understand the difference between the batch versus online? Are you with me, guys?
Yeah, yeah, we understand.
Okay, moving to the next, the transaction processing cycle. So there are different steps in a cycle, how the transaction perform. Starting from data collection, you need to collect the data, then data editing, you need to play or you need to clean the data, data correction if there is something wrong, data manipulation, you want to generate something like analysis, the graphs, or you want to play with your data, and then you will store the data, and in the end, you will produce some reports or document. So these are the generic steps. If we see the same thing in a flow graph or activity graph, starting from the original data, then you have a data collection. So once you collect the data, you need to clean the data. So you will find out the good data or bad data. If it is a bad data, then of course you will go back and you will collect the data again. But if it is a good data, so you can play with that one. You can make use of the data, you can conduct the analysis, you can generate graphs like you did in the assignment. Okay, and then you will store the data. And after storing the data, you can generate different documents. TPS reports means transaction for different reports, and document production. There are different documents that you can save and you can produce for the further references. So let's talk about the data collection. So there are different. Can you tell me how the data is collected in Extra?
From the customer or from?
Yes, very good. From the customer, how they get the data from customer?
After
number order.
Sorry?
So his number order. Order number.
Yes, order number. But how you will get the order number? I mean, in system, you have to enter the data.
He's given his information, and they can find it.
You know, the customer sitting on a, I mean, the employee sitting on a section where you receive your the orders or receipt where you pay the money. So usually the employee sitting there, he scan all the documents, all the products, right?
Yeah.
You know the scanners are there, they scan every product. Okay, so this is the point of collecting data about the product and the customer, and they ask you, give us your ID number or your telephone number, then you will enter that data also. So this is the point of data collection. So data collection can be manually, you can write on the papers, on registers, on files, or you can use some devices like this. This scanner device is on every shop, right? Nowadays, every shop is using this scanner, and there is a mandatory for the online or the payment on the machine. I think now there is a rule in Saudi Arabia that every shop must have this device for payment. Okay, so these devices are used to you will use as a data collection devices. You will collect the data using these. Okay, but you can also collect data manually on paper. Next is data editing. Yes, now you have the data, you need to clean the data, checking data for validity and completeness to detect any problems. Maybe, for example, integer value and you have entered the character value. You need to clean that. Maybe the names you are entering the names like 1, 2, 3, the numbers, which is not correct. Names must be alphabetic. Okay, so these kind of things you need to perform. Your analyst will perform, and sometimes the automated checkers will perform these things. You need to clean the data. So after cleaning the data, of course, you need to re-entering data that was not typed or scanned properly. If invalid data is detected, system should provide error message. So you will, if you are able to find discrepancies or any invalid entries, so you need to fix that one. After correcting, of course, performing calculations, data.
So,
Yes.
are you in slide 9? Because it's amazing.
So we'll finish this one, the flow diagram. You can see now?
Yes, doctor.
Discuss this, the points. So now we already discussed the data collection. Like the devices must be there on every shop. It can be, where you scan the products. So those devices are used for data collection. And you can also collect the data through manual on papers, okay, on documents. Once you collect the data, you need to clean the data. Like the names should be alphabet. Names cannot be numbers, right? Am I right?
Yes, one.
So you need to see the whole data. Your analyst will see, or maybe sometimes the automated system will check the data has entered is correct or not. Data is good or bad, it's clean or not. Once data clean, you need to apply the fixes. Re-entering data that was not typed or scanned, some missing data, some missing values, wrong entered data, incorrect data. So you need to correct that one. Once the data is correct, then you can play with the data. You can calculate, you can analyze. For example, how many products do we need in next week? How many products do we need on Eid al-Adha? How many products we need on some occasion? So from where you can get this data? So like in your assignments, you generate the graphs. Okay, now you have the graphs, so you can take decision. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So once you generate all your analysis and anything that is required, and you have already taken the decisions, so you need to store the data. Updating one or more databases with new transactions. After being updated, this data can be further processed and manipulated by other systems. So once you've done everything, so you have to store data, but take care that you must update your databases, because the same data maybe will be used by other system, because we are in ERP, under the ERP. Different programs, but they are integrated. They can use the data. Okay, the accounts department maybe need this data. So this data must be updated. Okay, guys, are you with me?
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, we are with you.
So after storage data, the last point is documentation, production, and reports. Generate output records, documents, reports, hard copy, paper reports, display on computer screen. Results from one TPS can be input to another TPS. So there are different kind of reports that you need, because in one organization you needed, documentation is very important for every organization. They save the documents for the future reference. Maybe I need a report after 1 month, or maybe after 2 years, after 3 years. Okay, so you can generate different reports, hard copy or the soft copy both. So the results from one transaction system can be the input of another transaction system. So that's why you need all these reporting and data saved in a proper manner. Okay, so we discussed the transaction cycle, complete cycle. So there are different steps involved. I repeat again, starting from here: data collection, data editing, data correction, data manipulation, storage, and documentation. Is that clear, guys? Any question, any confusion regarding this?
No, okay.
Okay, so is it enough for today, guys?